Deepa is also a women tech maker ambassador and a GDG organizer for San Jose. And she's here to talk about Google's Puppeteer and why it's the best choice as a web browser automation tool. Hi, Deepa.
Yeah, hi. Just give me a minute. Let me try to share my screen here. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. There we are. Hello, everybody. Today we will learn how to pull the strings of a Puppeteer for web automation. My name is Deepa Subramanian. I am a QE developer at Adobe. I've been working as a test professional for over a decade. I also build front-end and full-stack web applications. I'm also one of the organizers at GDG. And fun fact about me is I'm a coffee addict. So if you're up in the San Francisco area, let's catch up with a cup of coffee. With that said, I just wanted to for this session, I would expect you to have some knowledge on the following topics. For example, if you should know JavaScript ES6 features such as promises, callbacks, etc. And what is Node.js? It's a server-side platform built on Google Chrome V8 engine. And how does browsers work? What is a DOM? How to use DevTools? And you should also have some knowledge on testing. With that, I just wanted to say these would be the agenda for today. We'll start off with testing the usual pyramid, and then we'll talk about automation, why is it important, and what are the tools available. And we'll talk about the basics of Puppeteer, why Puppeteer, what are the upcoming features, etc. And finally, we'll see a small demo, and we'll wrap it up. So we all know that testing is an integral part of SDLC, and starting testing early in the process is always better, right? So today, many companies, almost all of the companies, are following the agile methodology. So there's a shift in the testing efforts towards left. So it could be as close as possible to the development cycles. Thus, automation becomes an integral part and integral part of a continuous integration, continuous deployment environment. You should probably find out the repetitive tasks, identify them as early as possible, and automate them so that you don't miss any bugs, right? As bugs missed can be super expensive later to fix them. And with that said, there are a lot of web automation tools out in the market. If you try to Google, if you do a Google search and see what are the web automation tools, you will probably see about 50 of them. So 50 or so, even more. But the top tools are Selenium, Cypress, Cucumber, etc. So Selenium has been it's been around for a while, and Cypress is also, it's a JavaScript test UI test tool, and it's also catching up. And Cucumber is mainly used for behavior developed BDD tests. And as you can see, in test automation, you always start off, there are 3 layers, distinct layers, where you start off with a lot of unit test coverage, and then you go up the pyramid, where the more coverage that you have at the bottom, it's better. You can also do end-to-end from one end to other too. When you do tests, it makes sense that if you start doing testing early, you basically could deliver a good quality software. So now we talked about testing, what is it, and now let's move on to what is Puppeteer. Puppeteer is a tool announced by Google in 2017. Before we dive into what is Puppeteer, we need to understand what is Headless Chrome. Headless Chrome is nothing but Chrome without a UI, okay? So then what is Puppeteer? It's a headless automation tool. and is also an API for Chrome and Chromium-based web browsers. So let's move on to the architecture of Puppeteer. You might have seen these diagrams or these pictures before, but I just wanted to give a visual here. At the bottom, you have headless Chrome, which has the latest JavaScript features with promises, etc., all the good stuff. And on the top, you have DevTool protocol, a complex remote API, which interacts with Chrome. And next comes Puppeteer, which is a high-level API interacting with headless Chrome. Basically, Puppeteer provides an JavaScript API, and it hides all the DevTool protocol complexities. So it provides a great low-level control over Chrome. And finally, at the top, you would have your scripts, which interacts with Puppeteer, which controls Chrome, right? And Firefox, there's support for Firefox, and you could also use it with Microsoft Edge because it's a Chromium-based web browser. There are extensions available where you can add them and then make it work with the Microsoft Edge browser as well. So this is a hierarchy of Puppeteer API. As you can see, Puppeteer interacts with Chrome DevTool protocol, and these are the different classes that Puppeteer has, which we'll be going through in a moment. But understand that a browser class could have different browser context here. And just to give you what are the main classes that we would always use for automation when interacting. So on top, you have Puppeteer class. It's a main class where you get the instance of Puppeteer. You would use it with either you use it with an import statement or require Puppeteer. I'll just show the code snippet in a moment. Just bear with me for that. So you have a browser class. You create Puppeteer that connects to the Chromium instance. You can use browser.launch for launching the browser instance. And you could also use something called as browser fetcher class, with which you can use different versions of Chrome or Firefox for your test. For example, if you wanted to use different versions of Chrome to test, then you could use this class. And page class usually provides interactions within a page. So there are other classes also available: accessibility, keyboard, touchscreen, emulators. There's a whole bunch of stuff that are available, but these are the major ones that you would use. So having said this, why do you want to use Puppeteer, right? So if you have used Selenium or any other tool, if you had tried to set up with other browsers, so you have to install the drivers for that. There's a whole bunch of setup that requires for that. But Puppeteer has zero setup. So all you got to do is run npm install Puppeteer. It's all done for you. So it's everything. It creates an up-to-date automated testing environment for you. And because it uses up-to-date, it gets the latest Chromium version, right? And if you're a beginner to start with this tool, there is an extension available called Puppeteer Recorder, which is very similar with Selenium IDE, where you can record the steps and you can try to mimic it again and start writing your own tests as well. So the learning curve, having said this, is not that steep. Whereas if you take Selenium or any other browser tools out there, there is a learning curve there. Because Puppeteer is event-driven, it removes most of the flakiness. There's no need for you to wait until something is done or add sleep times, etc. So because Puppeteer exposes browser context, you can parallelly run your tests as well. You can do a network interception. You can use Chrome extensions, which I'll show you in a moment, and then we can do UI interactions. You can emulate mobile viewports, generate PDFs, take screenshots. There's a whole bunch of amazing features with this tool. And apart from it, you have community support. So this tool is mainly focused for speed, security, stability, and simplicity. Okay. So now let's see some of these in code, right? Here's a code snippet for page interaction. First, at the top, you require Puppeteer. And if you want to launch a browser context, you create a context for the browser and you say puppeteer.launch. And if you want to interact with a new page, if you want to open up in a new tab, you use page. You create a page instance, and then you have to use browser.newPage for opening up in a new tab. And you could also use browser context in a way that you can operate multiple independent browser sessions. For example, I could open up one tab, and then I could also create a browser context here and open another one in an incognito mode, right? So that's one thing that you can do. And finally, you can close your browser using browser.close. This is how page interactions typically works with Puppeteer. And it's super fast. I'll show you in the demo shortly. So here's an example for mobile device emulation. Using devices method from Puppeteer class, I can emulate this pixel device. Here I'm trying to search for Google Chrome. Inside of search, I'm using Chrome Word, and it tries to find the locator for Google Play, right? And then Puppeteer uses different locators like any other tool would. You can select using XPath, ID, class, links, and as how would you use in any other tools. So there are a lot of locator supports too. And it goes to this page and takes a screenshot. So if you see, there's page interaction that goes on inside this mobile device emulation too. So you don't have to test all these mobile web pages in a device, or you can simulate these things here itself. So here's another example for geo emulation. For example, if I want to emulate this particular location, right? All I have to do is I have to use this method called set geolocation. And note that I have given the latitude and the longitude here to get the location if I visit to this page, visit to Google Maps. And you could also override, if you have tested this location services, probably there are sometimes that Chrome gives you this, hey, you want to access your location, you can override that using this override permissions too, so that your test does not stop in between. So now moving on to network listeners. Puppeteer allows to add network event listeners and interceptions, meaning both network requests and responses can be modified or mocked if necessary. Here's an example where we are intercepting image. We are going to this page called Cat Lovers, and then we are trying to intercept all the images that has cats into dogs. For example, this is how it will be looking like. So all the cat, we are finding all the images and then mocking it with dog images here. So I also have a video for how to use Puppeteer along with Chrome extension Lighthouse. This is a extension available in Chrome, and what this extension does is it gives you performance. There's a lot of audit reports that it gives you. So you could visit to this. You can scan this QR code to visit this to see this video. I have a lot of information on how to set it up and how to test a Chrome extension, which would be similar to other extensions as well. So more features now. So Now the team is also moving efforts to support TypeScript. Initially, it was just only with JavaScript. Now they are also trying to support TypeScript. And with Puppeteer, you can emulate time zones. For example, you're setting up a calendar in mind, right? And if I'm setting it up in PST, but the person whom I'm setting it up with is an EST, those kind of things we can emulate, and we can use emulate time zones to do that. And you can also test dark and light mode using emulate media features, which is a method from the page class. And you could also test accessibility. For example, if you want to test the different vision stuff, then you can emulate vision deficiencies. For example, there are some parameters as how to do this. You can use those methods to do that. And in Chrome version 100, there is a recorder panel inside of the Chrome developer tool, right? Which allows you to import and export user flow recordings as a JSON file. You can export these recordings as Puppeteer replay script. There is a replay library that is available for you to get those recordings. This is one of the latest ones as well. So in the future, now we have support for Firefox, and which is still in experimental. In the future, Puppeteer team plans to have support for Safari as well. The team is basically now trying to standardize a protocol that works on all browsers instead of building on top of Chrome Developer Tool Protocol, like how this Puppeteer API is. So we learned about Puppeteer, we talked about all these good features and stuff. And now I just wanted to bring up the stats. Around the world, I just wanted to give a visual of how many people use Chrome. So around the globe, there are more than 65% of people who use Chrome, right? That makes sense that when you are trying to build your websites and automate them, it is much more important to test it in Chrome. So I also pulled this up from NPM Trends. Here is here, if you see this graph, there is about 3 million downloads that has happened in 2022. If you see the same graph in 2021, all these tools were like, Puppeteer, Selenium, and Cypress, they were all kind of used at the same level. So Cypress is now picking up, but so is Puppeteer here too. So now we talked about all the features and stuff, and how do you use Puppeteer basically? You can use it along with other testing frameworks such as Jest and Mocha. Jest is generally used for unit testing in JavaScript unit test framework. You can use it with that. And then Mocha works very well with Chai assertion library as well. So these are some of the popular frameworks that you could use along with Puppeteer. So I have a small demo. So this is a demo with Jest framework. I pulled this demo from one of the online resources. So here, for example, I'm using page object model where I wrote an end-to-end test. So basically the test goes, visits a page and then sees looks for whether the nav bar is displayed. It takes a screenshot, and then it goes to another page in the same URL. It just goes to another link where it looks for the feedback, and it fills up the feedback form, and it also goes and logs into the application. So if you go ahead and see, here is Puppeteer Jest configuration. So whenever you try to install Puppeteer and Jest, this configuration is already given, and the headless version is set to true. So if I run these tests, it's going to be running in headless mode. So where is it? It goes the first test is, let's give it a couple of, yeah. So the first test is all 3 tests passed, and the time taken is only 5 seconds. So as you can see, it's super fast. If I show it to you in the browser one, it's going to be pretty quick too. So if I go ahead, if I set it to false, it opens up in Chromium. I picked this example from one of the online resources here. So if you can see, it just goes, boom, it's done. So this is that quick it's super fast that you don't want to run these things on the browser mode on, because it's going to take some time when you're doing it during production on production websites. So this is how Puppeteer works with Jest framework. So to summarize, we talked a lot about testing, test automation and the tools available. What is Puppeteer? Why you should use it? I talked about all of this good stuff like geolocation, mobile emulation, network listeners, screenshots, generating PDFs, etc. And then it directly works with Chrome Developer Protocol, so it's very easy to do that. And you don't, it's basically using the DOM elements directly from there. So you don't have to unnecessarily wait and all those good stuff we saw. And we also know that it can be used with Jest or with Mocha. And I just showed you a small demo as well. So to wrap it up, I just wanted to say that Puppeteer would be the go-to tool. If you are looking for a tool for speed and performance, this would be the go-to tool over portability and compatibility. So with that said, give it a spin. And once again, my name is Deepa. These are the ways that you could connect with me online. And here are my references. Thank you. And if you have any questions, please let me know.
Okay, Deepa, thank you so much. That was a lot of information. I think we have quite a few questions. So the first one, could you talk a little bit about how you might use Puppeteer for performance testing? Like which aspects of performance would be measured?
I have a video about this, so I can post this link. So you can use there are tools if you are trying to use Lighthouse. I can post this link here. How do I post this? I'm posting it in the chat here. So there are ways to do this. So if you can install Lighthouse Chrome extension, it basically runs an audit. It gives you performance. It gives you accessibility score. It gives you it gives you best practices, and it also gives you another metric too. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into. You can basically run these things and see how your performance of your app is. And also, there are times that you could use network throttling too. So I would say watch this video, and if you have any questions, please let me know.
Okay, great. And do you prefer Mocha since you're a
yeah, because it has an assertion library, right? So yes. With Jest, it's just you can only do unit tests. But if you're looking for more of an end-to-end and stuff like that, if you are familiar with Mocha, yes, I have the same demo with Mocha as well. If anybody is interested, I can pass on my GitHub as well.
Okay, great.
And that's built with the builder pattern, so it's not with page object.
Thank you. Can you use Puppeteer to emulate a Google bot?
I have no idea. I have not done that.
Okay. Next
But most of
question.
the things, if you can emulate anything, if you can use it as from if it's a browser based, and if it can if you can use that in a browser, I think you can emulate anything.
And can you use it for mobile apps?
Mobile apps, no. You can only use it for mobile pages. Like you can emulate those devices, but then I don't think you can use it for mobile apps.
Right, because it's browser based. Like
how many testing is enough? Good question. It depends on how you start. Where do you start your testing? And if your tests are consistently, how you do the test coverage. That's a whole big topic to cover one day on this lightning talk.
Okay, I think that's all we have time for now, and we're going to wrap up with some final words and I guess a drawing for some raffle prizes. So thank you so much, Deepa, and I encourage everyone to connect with you.
Mm-hmm. And please do ask questions in Slack if you have any, or reach out to me in LinkedIn.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we'll have the Slack.